Once upon a time, every meal carried a story. Every ingredient had a meaning. Every recipe was a memory passed down like a quiet inheritance. In a small wooden house bathed in morning light, a grandmother begins her day the same way she always has, alone but never hurried, surrounded by the familiar rhythm of tradition. But outside her window, the world is changing. Cities rise where villages once stood. Speed replaces patience. Convenience replaces care. And slowly, the stories that once lived in our kitchens begin to fade. Today, we live between two worlds. One world still stirs curry slowly over firewood, still wraps rice in banana leaves, still believes that food is something to be respected. The other world moves faster. Meals arrive in plastic packaging. Screens replace conversations. Every craving is just a click away. We are eating more than ever, but connecting less than ever. And somewhere between tradition and technology, we begin to forget what food truly means. In quiet markets that once overflowed with life, stalls close earlier than they used to. Recipes that once filled family books now sit untouched, gathering dust. Children grow up recognizing logos faster than flavors. Dishes that once defined communities are now unfamiliar names. And when food traditions disappear, something deeper is lost. We lose history written not in books, but in taste. We lose identity, carried not in words, but in meals shared across generations. What remains is silence where stories used to be. But within these fading traditions lies a wisdom we are only beginning to rediscover. Our ancestors did not call it sustainability. They simply lived it. They chose ingredients from nearby farms, not because it was trendy, but because it made sense. Food traveled short distances, stayed fresh, and supported local hands that worked the land. They used what nature provided: banana leaves instead of plastic, seasonal crops instead of imported excess. And in their kitchens, nothing was wasted. Every stem, every bone, every peel had a purpose. Food was not discarded, it was respected. Even more than that, meals were not eaten alone. They were shared. They brought families together, strengthened bonds, and turned ordinary days into meaningful moments. Without knowing it, they were building a system that cared for both people and the planet. Sometimes, change begins quietly. A forgotten book opened, a recipe rediscovered, a memory brought back to life. In the dust of an old wooden chest lies a collection of handwritten recipes, each page carrying the weight of generations. And in that moment, something shifts. The past is no longer just the past. It becomes a guide. Because remembering is not about going backward. It is about understanding what we are at risk of losing. And more importantly, what we still have the power to save.
It smells wonderful, dear.
It does.
Imagine a world where tradition and modern life exist together, where young chefs source ingredients from local farmers instead of distant factories, where markets are full again, not because of nostalgia, but because people choose them, where cooking is not just a task, but a skill passed from one generation to the next, a world where children know the taste of heritage before they ever learn the taste of convenience. Every choice we make has impact. Every local ingredient supports a livelihood. Every traditional recipe protects cultural memory. Every sustainable decision shapes the future we leave behind. And in the end, it all returns to the table. 3 generations sitting together under the same sky, sharing food that carries more than flavor. It carries history. Laughter replaces silence. Stories replace forgetting. And time, for a moment, feels connected again. Because food was never just about eating. It was about belonging. And perhaps the future we are searching for has always been sitting in our kitchens, waiting to be remembered. Preserve our heritage. Protect our planet. One recipe can change the future.